Welcome to another baking session with Rebbetzin Sarah. It's been a few weeks since we've had one, so it's very nice to see everybody. And tonight, the Rebbetzin will be baking honey cake. But she told me to say, and I'll be crossing to her in a moment, she's just getting ready, what she's calling a fluffy honey cake. So she wanted to do something a little bit different to the standard honey cake you might buy at, let's say, a Glicks or one of the kosher bakeries or Liechtenstein. So it might be slightly different to what you are used to, but that was the idea, to give you something a little bit different. And we'll post the recipe and everything obviously afterwards as well. So I'm going to cross now to Sarah. And let me actually take this off. That should work well. I just want to...
Hi guys.
Oh, sorry.
You see me?
There, Sarah.
Hi everybody.
So I just want to, Miriam, I can see you because you're on my first screen. How's the sound when Sarah talks? Sarah, talk.
Hi, can you hear me?
If you can give me a thumbs up if it's good. Excellent.
Okay, great. Are you ready to start?
We are.
Okay. So welcome back to my YouTube channel. Just kidding, guys. It's not our YouTube channel. It's Baking with Rebbetzin Sarah. So tonight we are going to be making the most delicious fluffy honey cake. Now, as the rabbi was saying before, that normally there's like there's the traditional honey cake that you normally could buy from Glicks, Liechtenstein, Hamisha, Savion, all the bakers out there. I wanted to do something different because I wanted to make something that you don't normally buy. Now, this kind of honey cake is almost like a sponge cake honey cake, which means that if you see in the recipe, it says we need to separate the egg whites and the yellows. And the reason why is because it's going to rise really high. So it's going to be almost like a coffee cake, but in a honey sponge cake. Now, if you could see, there's no coffee, there's no cloves, there's no things that a lot of people put in honey cakes. We all love our coffee, but I think we've had way too much coffee during coronavirus time. So I think maybe it's time to just slack off the coffee and focus on the honey. So I hope everyone has their bowls ready and their eggs ready. And we are going to start with separating the egg whites and the yellows. So here's my two bowls over here, okay? So one I'm gonna put egg whites and the other one I'm gonna put the yellows, okay? So get ready. I know it's a lot of eggs. Some people are like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. I'm like, it's okay. It's gonna taste good.
Protein.
Yes, exactly. The rabbi says protein. We all wanna be in a diet, even though there's lots of sugar, but you know, at least we got the eggs. Okay, so we're starting off to separate the 12 eggs.
And some people have easier methods. Use your own method.
Yes, I'm using it in a
manual way.
Whatever, in a glass. Okay, so obviously whoops, that wasn't smart. Okay, so you can see I made a mistake. I put a bit of yellow in. Now, some people are like, oh no, just chuck it out. I'm not chucking it out. I'm going to use a spoon.
She's fishing.
Okay, and I'm going to take the yellows out and just make sure that it's all out, because if you don't take it all out, what's going to happen? It's not going to rise and it's not going to fluff and become peak form. Hold on a second.
So this is your first lesson of what happens when you make a mistake, everybody.
Okay, guys.
So we want to give you the full experience. Even the pro, Sarah, makes mistakes.
Okay, so I'm going to put
You should blame me. Usually you blame me for these.
It's okay, guys. We're on Facebook Live and Zoom, so I'm not blaming anyone this time. Okay, guys, so I did my first egg. Woohoo! I feel like I'm like my daughter again. Okay, just making sure. I'm actually going to change cups because I don't want any residue on the yellow. Okay, we're back live. We're here. We're starting again. Okay, so my second egg. Okay, guys. So I'm going to check again. Make sure I don't break it. No blood spots. Making sure there's no blood spots. All good. 2. So it's good to count, or if you don't want to count, just make sure that you have a dozen of eggs ready to put inside. 3. Everyone has different ways of checking, but yes, I am checking.
Patty commented on Facebook. If you run out of eggs, you can't even go buy because you're in curfew.
That's why you have to make sure, Patty, that you have another dozen or 2 in the fridge.
Carol's asking, the recipe says to make 2 cakes.
Yeah.
So it would obviously be half the recipe.
Yeah. So if you don't okay, sorry guys. So normally we preheat the oven. Okay, I didn't tell you guys to preheat the oven. You can preheat the oven if you'd like. No, sorry, I forgot that's the first step. So everybody, thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna preheat the oven. Everyone should preheat the oven to 200 Celsius. Okay, so it's quite high. And then we are going to lower it to 170. Okay, so you could use a pan like this, which is like a 10-inch, sort of small, or you could use a round 10-inch pan. This recipe makes 2, so yes, you can half the recipe. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my oven. Okay, to 200 degrees. 200 degrees, and it says that you need to preheat the oven for 15 minutes and then lower it to 170. Okay, so again, 200 degrees Celsius, preheat your oven. Sorry guys, my bad, but it's okay, it's only for 15 minutes. And then continue with cracking your egg.
So either 12 or 6.
12 or 6, and then everything else is obviously halved. Okay, so half everything. So I am doing double because when you have a lot of kids, or we're in coronavirus time, it's always good to have something to nibble and nosh on. Okay, so I am on my egg number 9. Okay, let's see if I am able to last. Oh, let's see if I made a boo-boo. Oh, I did well, well done. There's no yellows. That's a professional. Okay, I'll keep going.
It says tubed pans.
Okay, yeah, so 2 pans is a round pan normally, like one of those round dishes. But you can use, as I said, a square dish. You can use like a smaller foil pan or a regular pan. Now, again, you can use a regular pan, but you got to just make sure that it's just not going to go as high. So if for those people who have just regular pans, you can use it. But the good thing about the 2 pan, it's going to go quite high. So that's the benefit of that.
That's why you said 2 pans.
That's why I said 2 pans. But it's all going to taste good. So use whatever you have. Okay.
Worst things have happened in the world, everyone.
I promise you it will still taste delicious. Okay. It's sugar, it's honey, and it's baking. So it'll taste amazing with coffee or tea. And so we actually don't need coffee here. We'll be really, really hyper.
What size pan? Someone's asking.
Okay,
that's
again,
Louise.
it's like a 10-inch pan. Again, you could just use the regular pans that you use. But the recipe calls for a round 10-inch pan. That's what a 2 pan is. Okay. Now, see if everyone's done their eggs. I've cracked my 12 eggs, all cracked. Ready to go to the next step. Okay, so it's all cracked and ready to go. So now, make sure that you have either a hand mixer or your, look at me, I can't even think straight, but it's called a mix master. Make sure you have something. This is the old fashioned way.
Can you turn the lights on there?
What?
Can you turn the light on over there?
Yeah, I'm a bit old fashioned with certain things, so I'm using the old fashioned mix master, which is the hand mixer. So I'm just gonna turn the lights to make it a little brighter here. 1 second. What? Okay.
No, turn on all the lights.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So what we're gonna do next is we are going to put a cup of sugar in our bowl gradually, okay? So measure a cup.
Patty Katz is asking, what can she use, if possible, instead of honey and sugar? Oh, that's a joke. Sorry.
I was like, oh, stevia. You can use maple syrup.
You can use
yeah.
You can just go buy some carrots and have carrots instead.
You can use apples and just stick it in. Okay. So you can use, just put in just regular white sugar.
How much?
1 cup of regular white sugar, okay? Hold on. Give me my pouring time. Gosh. Okay. So the plan is slowly, gradually, you're gonna start mixing and you're gonna slowly put the sugar in and you're waiting till it peaks, okay? So you gotta make sure it peaks.
What does peaks mean?
Peaks, for those people who don't know, it becomes stiff, and when you turn over the bowl, it doesn't fall.
There's a hint for everyone. If you put a pinch of salt in the white, it beats up firmer.
Yes, that's true. Whoever said that
Carol.
is right. Thank you very much. So she's right. If you put a little bit, a pinch of salt, it will it'll beat it up faster. So I'll do that. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol. So I'm gonna do that. She is right. So I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. You start off with the salt and beating it slowly on 1 speed, and then go to 2, and slowly let it go higher and higher so that it beats, okay? So now while we're beating, it's gonna take at least 6 to 8 minutes, maybe 10, depends on how long. Rabbi Daniel's gonna do the Bar Torah for us.
While we're beating it?
While we're beating it, yeah. It's gonna take quite a while, so. Rabbi, you wanna say Bar Torah for us? Because normally I could do 2 things at once, but I'm trying to do 3 things at once. So we're giving it over to you.
Okay, well that's a big honor for me. Hold on, I've just got to work out how to get my camera to turn around. All right, so you're back with me, and this was a bit of a surprise because Sarah didn't tell me that I'm going to be giving a Dvar Torah. So how long must I give a Dvar Torah for? All right, so while we're waiting, as you can see, Sarah is busy beating the eggs, and I'll just say something very quickly, and it's wonderful to see everybody. So and now my glasses have gone blue from the lights, but anyway, so this is what we call Torah and bake. So not only do you get to bake a delicious honey cake, you get to hear a Dvar Torah. Isn't that exciting? So the Dvar Torah I want to share with you all is something which I found very, very important in the parasha this week. And that is, sorry, my glasses go blue in the light for some reason. So in the parasha this week, we speak about a very interesting case. Apparently, according to the Talmud and other sources, this particular incident never, ever occurred in fact in Jewish history. And that is where we have the rebellious child. The rebellious child who the Torah says it calls a ben soreh or moreh. It's a child who's been really, really, badly misbehaved and so on. We're not going to go into exact details as to what is supposed to happen to the child. But there's a very fascinating thing which the Torah says. The Torah says that the child einenu shameya b'kol aviv u'v'kol imo. The child doesn't listen to the voice of his father or the voice of his mother. Now, if anyone who speaks Hebrew or knows Hebrew, they'll tell you that you can just say b'kol aviv ve'imo, to the voice of the father and mother. See Yafa, I can see you. Is that right, Yafa? You don't need to say b'kol aviv or v'kol imo. You can just say b'kol aviv ve'imo. And the Torah, as we know, doesn't waste words. It doesn't waste time. So why put that there? And the Torah is telling us a very fundamental educational lesson. And I think something which, you speak to modern day parents, psychologists, they'll tell you this message. And that is, what possibly made this child go a little bit wonky was that he kept hearing different voices, or she kept hearing different voices in her house. She heard the voice of her father and the voice of her mother, his voice of the father, his voice of the father and mother, meaning mixed messages, right? So, of course, parents don't always agree with each other. And, as we know, those of us who are married or have partners, there's going to be arguments, there's going to be disagreements. But when it comes to how we give over to our children, We need to have a united front, a message together. And when parents don't have that, then it's very confusing for the child. And yes, sorry, Yafa, it's only 1 cup of sugar to the whites. Correct, Sarah? No? Is she supposed to add 1 cup of sugar? What? 1 cup of sugar to the whites? Yeah. And so you need to have that joint voice. You need to have that kol aviv and kol imo should rather actually become kol aviv ve'imo, the voice of the father and the mother. So may we all of us who are leading or have children, or in any sense, when you want to have consistency, if you want to have growth, you want to have development, you need to all have the same message. You have to have the same connection going forward. So I'm going to now hand back to Sarah. Still not ready. Oh my word. Well, let's watch you beat eggs. So that's pretty exciting.
So exciting.
All right, here we are, back live.
Hi guys.
She's working very hard, and look at that. It's
Getting there.
It's getting whipped up.
Getting.
Well, while we're waiting, we'll just give you a little tour of our fridge. So you'll just see some pictures. Very exciting. This is when our son, for those of you who support Collingwood, I can't work out which way to spin this. Oh, here it is. If you look here, this is when our son, Aaron, was running out onto the football field with the Collingwood Magpies. And this was the bar mitzvah for many of you who were there on the Shabbos when our families were here. And I'm trying to buy time. And this is the Rebbetzin, in case you forgot who she was. And she's beating the eggs. Asher koyach, Greg. Asher koyach to you too. The Chazan. Oh, we should have had the Chazan sing a song while we're waiting. I don't know. I can't. Chazan, are you still on? He wrote no. He is, but he's not singing songs now. All right, let's have a look.
We're going to sing a Rosh Hashanah song.
Is that whiskey or egg?
Is that a joke? Okay.
Well, maybe while we're waiting, I'll just say one other thing.
Okay, one more thing. 1 more minute, I'll be done.
1 more minute.
Yeah. 1 more minute. Okay, so we take sort of an outer view. Take a look at the table, how clean Sarah made it. Are we still live here?
We're still live.
Which way?
Well, yeah, we could have had song of the week.
So you can sing a song.
I can sing a song.
Yeah.
Ain't no chazan. Well, just something very, just to let you all know, of course, tomorrow, join us live at around 9 a.m. or between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. for a live Facebook shofar blowing every day through the month of Elul, not on Shabbat. And remember, tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 p.m., if you have young children, I'm going to be doing a live broadcast from the shul for some fun kids activities. And at 4:45, our famous Kabbalat Shabbat with Chazan Greg. And tomorrow, Chazan Greg's invited one of his friends from South Africa called Jonathan Biren, a famous wedding musician over there and very popular in South Africa. So he'll be joining us to sing a few songs virtually. So that's tomorrow at 4:45. All right, I hope we're almost ready because I'm running out of things to say, which is probably uncharacteristic for a rabbi.
Very funny. Okay, guys. So just make sure. Are you focusing on the egg now? Okay. So look at my beautiful egg white batter thing. Okay. So if you can see, it's pretty good. And how do we know that it's ready?
How do we know?
How do we know it's ready, guys? How do we know? Well, anyways, okay. We're not in kindergarten. Okay, so how do we know it's ready? You go like that. How cool is that?
Gee.
Is that amazing?
That
It
is
doesn't
risky.
fall.
No, that was
For
risky.
all those people who don't bake, okay? It's not that I'm not drunk, okay? It's not falling. Got it? Okay.
Towards the falls, yeah.
So that means it's
Thick
ready.
enough.
It's ready. It's not thick enough. It's peaked. Okay. So I'm gonna just rinse these out. Okay. So for all those who have your beautiful hand beater. Okay. Now I'm gonna do is we're taking our yellows, which is our second bowl, and we are going to mix this with also sugar. Does anyone know how much sugar we put in? Well, I'm just gonna double check, but I think it's a cup. It's a cup of sugar. Another cup. Okay, for those people like, oh my God, so much. Okay, remember we're making 2 pans, not 1, 2 pans, okay? So for those people
We're doing one.
who are doing 1, you do half a cup of sugar for the whites and half a cup of sugar for the yellows. But for those people who are doing 2, it's a cup of each, okay? So I'm putting my beaters back in, okay? And I'm going to measure 1 cup of sugar.
How long is this one going to take?
Oh, this one takes 1 minute max, okay? Because we don't need it to peak. We're just mixing it, okay? So the way it works is we put a cup of sugar. Hold on. Measuring cup. Okay. Just put that more. Okay. So we're taking the cup of sugar. We're putting inside. It doesn't need to be gradual. You can just pour it in, okay? And then you're gonna beat it till it becomes like yellowish, okay? Well, obviously it can't be yellow because it says yellow, but guess what? We're not in America. Our eggs in Australia are like orangey. So it becomes, mixed well. Okay, guys? Beat it for a minute, and then we're gonna do the next steps. The rest of it takes really fast, okay? So the hardest part was beating the egg whites. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, so putting it on second speed, on a low speed, guys, okay? So till it becomes like a nice, till it blends pretty much, and it's mixed in well, okay? And can you look inside, Tim? See that? Sort of like a nice orangey yellowish, well, more like orangey color. Okay, so mix it.
Looks yellow on the screen.
Oh, well, it's really orange. Just the color change in the screen. Okay, so I'm mixing it, and it's ready to, that's it, it's done. Okay.
Beautiful.
So now what we need to do is, in this yellow mixture, we are going to put in the rest of the ingredients, okay? And then when we finish putting in this ingredients, we will mix it, and then we'll fold in the whites. Okay, so let's start from the first thing that we need to put in. So
how much sugar again, just to remind everybody? Someone's asking.
So those people who don't know, for the recipe we're doing, for the 2 pans, it's 1 cup of sugar for the yellows, 1 cup of sugar for the whites, okay? So now.
And if you are, if you're doing half, obviously, then it's half a cup for the yellow and half a cup for the white.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're adding honey, oil, juice, and lemon. So the honey we need to do is, for those people who saw, is 500 grams, which is exactly this.
Wow.
So.
Or half of that, or 250.
Or 250 grams for those people who are doing half the amount. But look, that's quite a lot of honey, guys. So that's how we know it's a real honey cake, because we're really putting in heaps and heaps of honey. Okay.
This is going to be a sweet cake.
This is a sweet cake, and for those people who have diabetes, not the best cake to eat, but there's obviously things that you could take to have it. And also those people who are gluten-free, you could still use, you just have to make sure you use gluten-free flour, okay? Okay, so taking as much as I can out, okay? Even if it's a little bit less honey, it's okay, because we have heaps and heaps of sugar. Okay, so we put the honey in. After we do the honey, we need to make sure we do the oil, which is 3/4 of a cup of oil, just making sure, yep. Okay, so we're doing 3/4 of a cup of oil after we put the honey in, and then we'll squeeze in 1 full lemon, the juice of a full lemon. Okay, now, so I'm taking half a cup.
So that was either 500 grams or 250 grams of
honey. Or 250 grams of honey, okay?
And now what?
Now we're doing 3/4 of a cup of oil. Okay. So even for those people,
How much did you put in now?
that was half, and that was a fourth.
Okay, so if you're doing half, then you do half of 3/4. Come on, do your maths, everybody.
Okay. Then the next thing we do is we're doing the juice. Okay, the cinnamon. Sorry, we'll do cinnamon first. So make sure
Okay, so just go over what you put in so far.
Okay. So so far I put in
3/8. Thank you, Carol. Carol, we need you to come work for us, Carol.
Thank you.
Okay, go on.
Okay. Hi guys. We're back in the show. Okay. So so far I beat the eggs yolks with a cup of sugar, then I put in 500 grams of honey, then I put in 3/4 a cup of oil. Now I'm putting in 1 teaspoon of yummy cinnamon. Okay guys, so I'm doing 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. See that? Beautiful. Smells good. Okay. Then I'm going to take a lemon and I'm going to squeeze a lemon inside. Let's just see where my lemon here. So I'm using my beautiful lemon squeezer. And why am I using this? And you could buy this at Sir John's, is because we're hoping we're not going to be getting the lemon, which the lemon seeds actually went in. No, it didn't. Okay. We're trying to make sure that we don't get the lemon seeds inside.
Well, that should stop it.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes it goes through. So I'm just making sure it didn't go through. Okay. So you do a full lemon. Okay. There we go. Squeeze a full lemon inside. It's going to give it a nice taste to it. And for those people, half a lemon. For those people doing only 1 pan. Okay.
Yes, 3/4 of a cup of oil.
And
But the 3/8 if you're halving the recipe. Exactly right. Thank you, Carol.
Okay, 3/8 if you're halving the recipe.
Okay, so we're squeezing in a whole lemon or half a lemon if you're doing half the recipe.
Yes, exactly. And then, okay. So then
Let's look at our mixture.
So look at our mixture, and you could take a spoon. Do you see the spoon?
Yeah.
And we can mix it a bit.
Anything else going in, or that's it?
No, we are going to put more stuff in. We're going to do all the dry ingredients. We have the flour, the baking powder, and the baking soda. And baking powder, baking soda. Okay. I'm just making sure that we haven't, yes, everything's good. Okay. So the next step we're going to do is the 3 cups of flour, or 1.5 cups of flour.
If you're doing
half the recipe. But I'm mixing it now because it's going to be easier to mix it now than when we mix it later because of the honey. Okay. So for those people, just take like a nice wooden spoon, mix it a little bit for 30 seconds, and then start getting your flour ready, okay? So you could sift the flour, but I'm already using premium quality baking flour. And we're gonna do—
Should I show them what you're using?
I'm using the White Wings premium flour. Yes, people like to sift. I'm not sifting it, so just putting it straight in, okay? So just making sure you measure 3 cups, okay, or I'm doing 1 or 1.5 cups for those people who are only doing 1.
Cake.
Okay, so you do 3 cups of flour, and then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking, of bicarb, as they call it in Australia. So there's bicarb soda, which in America we call it baking soda. And then there's baking powder, okay?
Can you show them both? Hold on.
So 1 teaspoon or half a teaspoon for those people only making 1. Okay, just making sure. Okay, perfect. We always double check because when it comes to baking, if you get it wrong, it's just gonna flop. Whereas cooking, even if you get it wrong, it still could taste good.
Okay, so Bella's asking, is it plain flour?
Yeah, oh yes, sorry. Not self-raising flour, regular plain flour. So you could use like bread flour or regular flour. Any flour is fine.
Just not self-raising.
Not self-raising flour because we are using baking powder and baking soda. Now, if you don't have it home and you can't run out because it's after 8 o'clock, you can use self-raising flour. But The self-raising, you can't, if you do self-raising flour, do not put in any baking powder or baking soda because that makes it rise.
Right.
Okay?
So someone said you should sift the flour, but
I just said that. I said we could sift, you're supposed to sift the flour, but I'm not sifting.
she's being lazy now.
I'm being lazy over here because, yeah,
Will take too long.
It's still good. It's obviously when you sift flour, it's fluffier and tastes a little bit better. Still will taste.
So if you want to sift it,
you can sift it. Okay.
we certainly won't stop you.
No, if you want to sift, that's the thing you do. Gesundheit. More than happy for you to do that, but I'm not doing it. Okay. So 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda. Sorry,
the internet connection is, hold on.
I said the same thing. Sorry, guys. Been in Australia for 11 years and I still get confused. Okay. So 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda, which is baking soda, or 1 teaspoon and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So both. Okay.
One of each.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my mixer to mix it all in. But remember, we still have our egg whites that are going to be folded in at the end, okay? So mix this all in and make sure it's not lumpy. Make sure it's smooth. So mix it for at least a minute. Okay, I'm mixing it for about a minute on a low speed, okay? And you want to make sure that it's completely smooth, okay? That's really important to make sure that it's all smooth. Because when we mix it in together with when we fold in our egg whites, we don't want to mix it too much, okay? So mix it for about a minute. Oh my gosh, it smells amazing. Yeah, for those people, if you could smell it, the honey smells delicious. Okay, so mixing it, starting to get a bit harder to mix because of the honey, but another 20 more seconds, just making sure that it's completely smooth. We don't want any lumps. Okay. Okay, so you could see over here, it's pretty smooth, okay? And then what we're going to do, the last thing to do, is taking our egg whites and we're folding it into our batter that we just mixed. Okay, so using a spoon or whatever mixing spoon utensil you have. Can you see that? Can you show? Okay, and we are going to be folding it into the batter because obviously we don't want to crush the egg whites, and then it's not going to be this beautiful honey sponge cake. Okay, so just take it, mix it for at least a minute. Okay, so sort of just mix it well, and it's important to mix well because what happens is if it's not mixed well, the honey just goes to the bottom. Okay, so it's important when you mix it, okay, you mix it well. Now for those people, once it's baked, you're very used to the brown looking honey cake, okay, that you see at the bakeries. It's not going to be brown. It's going to be sort of like a sponge cake, sort of looking like a yellowish look.
Yes,
okay?
and Ricky just added that if you look at the packet of the flour, just going back to earlier comments,
yeah,
the packet says that it's triple sifted already before it's...
Well, there you go. See, so Ricky said it's triple sifted. Exactly. Thank you, Ricky.
So if you want to do it a fourth time,
you could do it.
Gesundheit.
You might do it, you know, do it at your own risk. Just kidding. Okay, so if you could see how it's looking really nice, just so you could see, it's not, like you see that? It's not watery. Sort of just has like a really nice
like a custardy.
like a, exactly what Rabbi said, like a custardy or like a thickness to it. So that way when we put it into our pans.
Yes, and just people have asking, yes, you set the oven to 200 degrees.
So yeah, so 200 degrees. Now before you put in the oven, put it down to 170. 170 for 1 hour, okay? We're baking it for 1 hour on 170. Okay?
Yeah, but now just show them putting it into the pans.
So I'm going to show you how I'm putting it into the pans. Give me one more. Give me another 10 more seconds because I want to make sure it's completely mixed well because still doesn't look. Gotta just make sure that you don't see any really whites in it. I want to make sure there's no whites. I'm just going to mix it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to put it into my pan.
And again, just explain if you got different size pans, doesn't matter.
Okay, so for those people who didn't start with us, these are called just regular 10-inch pans, but in the recipe we were saying 2 pans, which are these round ones. So you can use a regular pan, it's fine. It's just remember, it's not going to be as high because the benefit of something like this, if you could look inside, hold on, can you show me?
Yeah.
Is that we're trying to make them as sort of high as possible, okay? Because they're sponge sort of honey cakes. So it needs to be not 3/4, it needs to be all the way to the top. Okay, that's the style of this cake. You see that? So you're basically putting all this yummy honey cake recipe that we just made. Okay, so we're putting it to the top. Oops. On the side so it doesn't burn. We're putting it to the top. If you could look over here, just making it look. Can you do it? Can you take a photo? Okay, so just make sure. Huh? No, with the other phone. Okay, so make sure that you put it all the way to the top. Okay, I'm just mixing it a little bit more because this one was on the bottom of the pan. Of the bowl, sorry, not the pan, the bowl. Okay.
Yeah, so you had your oven on 200 to get it heated?
Yeah, so for those people, it was on 200 to heat it up to really high because obviously we want to brown the top. But we don't want to burn it. So make sure it's on 170, okay?
When you actually put it in.
When you put it in, you lower it to 170. So I'm going to make sure it's on 170. Okay. I'm lowering it to 170 and you bake it for 1 hour. Can you see, guys? 1 hour you bake it for. Take it out to cool for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, or see what I do, take a piece and eat a little bit. We'd rather cool it down because what happens if it doesn't cool down? It's a sponge honey cake. So if it's not cooled down, you cut it, the whole thing's gonna flop. So just be careful.
Is it fan forced oven?
Yeah, so I put it on, for fan force oven, it's on 170. And for non-fan force is 175. Okay? So regular oven's 175, fan force is 170. We really don't want to make sure, we want to make sure that we don't burn it. Okay? So 1 hour. And obviously, like if you see that it's not ready or because every oven's different and also depends what pan you use, I would check on it 10 minutes before the hour, and you might need to leave it another 10 more minutes. It really depends on the pan you use, okay?
Etty's asking, is it possible to bake it in a bundt tin? I don't know.
Yes. So you can bake in a bundt tin. I actually did that yesterday, but you'll need to probably make 3 bundt tins out of it, and you bake it for a little bit less time. Probably about 10 minutes less, like 50 minutes. But yeah, you definitely can use a bundt tin. Any other questions?
All right, how much will it rise?
Okay, so good question. So it will basically, like if probably at least 1 to 2 inch, yeah, maybe probably about an inch. Sometimes it could rise to 2 inches, but when you take it out, it will sort of lower down a bit. So.
All right, let's get it in the oven.
I would say about an inch, but sometimes I've seen that things rise 2 to 3 inches. So let's just hope it doesn't.
Yes, and tell them to send us.
Oh, and first of all, thank you so much for coming tonight because Rosh Hashanah is just around the corner. We're really excited to see your beautiful honey cakes. Please make sure you send us a beautiful photo once it's ready.
Or post.
So we could post it on Facebook
or tag us.
Instagram or tag us. And yeah, I hope this will be a good recipe for you guys that you could use for your own Rosh Hashanah for all your Rosh Hashanah guests on Zoom. Just kidding. Anyways, thank you so much.
Let's put it in the oven. What are we waiting for?
Have a good night.
No, put it in the oven, then we'll
Oh, you
take.
want to show me how to put it in the oven?
Yes, let's put it in the oven.
I'm not wearing gloves. Putting in the oven.
Oof, look at that.
You should be wearing gloves, guys.
Don't try this at home. This is a seasoned professional here. Who's
No,
not
it's
using
not.
gloves.
And wait, one more thing. Sorry, guys, I forgot to tell you. Don't put it on the top rack of the oven, or if it is, make it a bit lower, because you don't want it to burn, okay? So I always put it on the lower rack for an hour, but if you're doing the higher rack, just sort of lower a little bit lower, because when it's too high up, sort of tends to burn it.
We have a comment that the raw mixture itself is delicious.
Yay, I'm so happy.
It is delicious. You
It's,
said.
it's definitely delicious. I mean, how can it not be delicious? Sugar and honey. Hello.
All right. Wish
Okay.
everybody good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos, everyone. And
So we'll keep. We're just going to end the live stream, and we're going to stop the